Hey everybody, welcome to the 11th episode of the Just Like Brothers podcast. I am Laika Abibi. Alongside me to my right is my main man Kai Jones, the owner of WJG Sports. And to my left is our second guest of the show, the sports editor from the Daily Record, Jacob Hancock. Thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So I met Jacob a while back at the the barnstorming tour.
That's right. Yeah, they were Princeton High School.
Princeton. Had Jay Bird out there going crazy, shooting some threes, and me and him talk. And he wanted to come on to the show and talk to us a little bit about your background, man. I see you got the Carolina swag on.
Yeah, man. So I graduated from UNC back in 2018. Didn't have a job out of school, so that was kind of horrible. You guys know how that is.
I can definitely.
Finally applied for this job like September of last year, so it's been about a year now. I've been working at the Daily Record.
Nice.
Just happened to work out pretty well. So I've been working there about a year, and that's pretty much it.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Beaufort, North Carolina. So I went to East Carteret High School, little 1A school out there.
Nice.
Middle of nowhere.
He was just out at Beaufort. East.
I was at North Lenore versus East Carteret.
Yes. Yeah, that was a bludgeoning.
Yeah, it was a rough one. North Lenore's now 4-0 in the season, by the way.
Yeah. Football hasn't always been. They've been good in recent years, but not necessarily as strong. It's hard. 1A schools year to year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because one of the schools technically, we both cover them. So normally there's seasons. You get 2 or 3 years of cycling in of just really high level play, and then eventually you might fall back down, and you got to wait another 2 or 3 years before you get back there.
Yeah, it's kind of like on 1A teams as well.
Right. So which teams do you cover? Explain all the teams that we cover.
We've got like a core 4.
Right.
That would be Triton, which is like right there in Irwin, which is like right next to Dunn.
Right, yep.
Harnett Central, which is in the middle of the county. Midway, which is in Sampson County and like right there on the border with Sampson and Harnett, so pretty close to Dunn. And then South Johnston, which is in Benson.
Right.
And they share like a border with Johnston and Harnett County.
Right.
So those are the big 4 I focus on. And then the others we cover Cape Fear Christian Academy, which is like a smaller private school. Then we have Overhills, which is out there near. They play in the conference there with like the Fayetteville schools.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Western Harnett, which is in the same conference as Triton Harnett Central.
Right.
And then Hobbton. Did I get all of them? 8.
So
it's 8.
Yeah, I think it's 8. Yeah.
That's a really good
Hobbton,
group
which is
right
in
there.
Sampson County. They're a 1A school.
Right. Of course, Hobbton, they're in the same conference with Rosewood and Princeton. Tell us about this kid who you say should win the Heisman.
Grayson Rogers for Heisman. Join the movement. Kid is just a really good leader. He's pretty quick. I would say, on most teams he may not play. If he was on a bigger team, he may play receiver or running back. But they need him at quarterback, and he's got a good arm. The one game I saw them play, he didn't throw a ton downfield. It was more like screens. They really like to spread you out, and they've got a really good combination of running with him and their other running back. But Rogers has already got like 1,500 yards in 4 games.
What?
1,500 yards total offense between running and passing. And I think touchdowns-wise, he's thrown 7, and he's ran for 7, I think, or 8, maybe 8.
Man, that's a Heisman pace. My goodness.
So one thing I noticed about them too is they're very quick too to the ball.
That's Joe Salas' special. He took South Johnston to the state championship game years ago.
Right.
And he's been several other schools. So now he's back in the area at Hobbton. And last year was his first year, and he had them. I want to say 6 and. Did they go 6-5 or 5-6 maybe?
They
made the playoffs. Made the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were competitive in that conference for the first time in forever. The year before they didn't win any games.
Right.
So he's really got them rolling right now.
Didn't we see Hobbton at Jamboree at CBA Cup over?
That's where we saw him.
Yes, that's right.
How quick they like to play. Like as soon as they fall on the ground, they're up to the line of scrimmage trying to run and play.
They go. It was very fun to watch.
Offensively, they can line it up. I saw they had a slow start there at Spring Creek Friday.
Right.
Yes.
but then they scored 56 points.
Yeah, Spring Creek's had a struggle, but yeah, Hobbton kind of gets points up in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they pulled away in the end, right? Yeah.
And Daniel Britt for Hobbton was their top receiver on the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would love to see film of that game because, like I said before, I hadn't seen them throw it downfield a lot. They did it a couple of times in their first game against, I think it was East Chapel Hill.
Yeah,
or was it just Chapel Hill?
Right.
I think it was
East Chapel Hill. And they hadn't thrown it downfield a lot, but he had 304 yards receiving, so they had to go downfield some. That couldn't be all screen passes.
Well, 15 catches, I mean, you could think, well, maybe he catches 5 or 6 screens, they turn into 20, 25 yards.
Maybe so, and that could have been it too.
I mean, because just to be real, Spring Creek's secondary has struggled a little bit downfield, so maybe they.
And I think Hobbton is going to attack where they think they can have the most success. And early on, I think that's been running the ball. That's what they've done most of. But maybe against Spring Creek, they're like, well, let's open up our passing game a little bit more.
Right. Of course, we normally do our games of the week. You talked to me about Midway and Hobbton before we go on here. Of course, Midway will play Goldsboro as they're in the same conference. Mm-hmm. So, what are you expecting from that matchup?
Between Midway and Hobbton?
Yes.
A lot of points. Midway's got a sophomore quarterback, really young, but if I'm being honest, he's probably in my top 3 of our 8 quarterbacks, or 7. Cape Fear doesn't have a football team. Top 3 of our 7 as a sophomore. I think that's pretty good. He's been efficient. They haven't thrown it a lot, but when they do, they usually are able to break off a big play. He can throw it over the top. And he's got some good receivers. Cameron Barefoot, who I don't know if you know much about Campbell University, but baseball, his brother just got drafted.
That's right. Yes,
and he's smaller than his brother. He's a little guy, but I mean, he picked a pass off there towards the end of the game last week against Lakewood, and he ran it 95 yards to the house. So he's quick. He's got the burners. So I think it's going to be a lot of points. I think Midway's defense is a little bit better. I think Hobbton's offense is probably better. So it's going to come down to, I think whoever takes care of the ball, honestly. Hobbton did turn it over some in their earlier games. If they do that, that could open the door for Midway.
Right. So, when it comes to Midway, what do you think what does a team need to do to be able to kind of stop Midway?
I would probably stop the run first. They do have a really good running back in Deontay Bird. I think they would like to run first when they can and then use the run to open up their passing attack. So I would say, if you can stop the run first and force them into passing downs where they're passing and you're not getting surprised. And then I would say you need to score points because they can hang around, with their offense. Right.
Shifting topics a little bit, South Johnston football started out 1-3 after winning 8 games last year. Last Saturday on our JLB rapid reaction show, we did buy or sell. Do you buy or sell this record for the South Johnston? What do you think is kind of
really tough because I didn't think they would be 1-3 coming in.
Right,
I didn't either.
And not only that, the game they won I think was the most surprising result. Where after this,
because Franklinton has won a lot of games over the past 5 or 6 years.
And I didn't think, when they were 0-3 going into that game, I didn't think, they'll turn it around this week against a team like Franklinton. Right. That game against Grays Creek, they should have won. I think that's pretty fair to say. They had a chance to kick the winning field goal, and coming out of the timeout, they come out with too many men on the field.
That's a
and then kicker gets iced twice. It's a 34-yard field goal. He hooks it just barely left, just from 29. I don't want to say it would be, but it would have been close. It would have been closer. 5 yards closer. You know how much difference that can make.
So
that's hooking that way. So
I say because you never know with 34-yarders. I mean, that could be the kid's bare distance. So he's just trying.
He could hit from further than 34. I think they felt good about him still kicking a 34-yarder.
Right.
But that's a tough break. And I think Triton is a team that's also better than their record. That they lost to Triton pretty ugly, but I think Triton's a team that's better than their record too. They played some really good teams. I think they can turn it around and maybe get 5 wins this year, and I think that wouldn't be a bad season for them.
Right.
I like that. I like
Right. Which I know a lot of people had concerns about South coming in because they had lost a lot of their offense from last year.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they lose their quarterback, and the quarterback they have this year, Chase Carroll, he's a solid player, I think. They don't have as many weapons. Tony Austin at tight end has been really effective when they're able to get the ball to him. He's just really quick for a tight end,
Right.
tall, big. But defensively, I think they're really good. I mean, they shut out Franklinton in the second half, I think, right? I think it was 10-0 at half.
Yeah.
Or maybe, no, I think it was 10-6 at half, and then South won the second half 17-0.
Yeah.
I mean, that defense is good, legitimately good. I think they had some problems against Triton. Just matchup-wise, I think it was tough for them, a really good running team. But I give South a fair shot. I mean, I really like what Rigsby does over there. So I give him a fair shot to turn around 4 or 5 wins. I mean, if you get in that area, it's not a horrible season. It's not great.
I think four wins is for like a bubble spot in the playoffs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I mean, like you look in that conference, they can beat Eastwick, I think.
Yeah, East Wake,
I think they can still beat Triple S. Other than that,
That's
not a
be-
game.
that's not a game anymore.
Yeah, that would be a competitive game. Either
You're
way.
gonna have to. They're gonna have to figure some things out offensively. I
Right.
think.
Yes.
It sounds like they had a defensive touchdown or 2 against Franklinton. I think I didn't ever see the actual box score from that game.
Yeah, same. The only thing is, I feel like the Greater News Rivers Conference is very wide open still.
Yeah.
Other than Cleveland, of course. Cleveland,
Yeah,
we
Cleveland.
separate Cleveland,
Yeah,
and then we talk
You
about
got your
the
Heisman
conference.
winner over there, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
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 Marion Hampton.
But yeah, he's already been on Cleveland saying that they could be playing the first week of December.
Yeah,
first weekend.
but other than that, though, it's wide open. I really can't say that any of these teams outside of Cleveland have really formed an identity that really leads me to believe that they are who they are, other than the fact of they need to kind of figure out some things as conference play is now 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like no one has really outside of Cleveland. No one else has separated themselves from each other yet.
Right.
I'll say this game South's got this week with Western Harnett.
Right.
Both it's pivotal for both teams. Western Harnett started off 2-0, and then the last 2 have been ugly losses.
Yeah.
And I think losses that aren't becoming of the team that I think they've got right now. They're a little young up front, and their quarterback has struggled, which I was surprised. He was a sophomore last year, starting on varsity, and led them to wins over Triton and Harnett Central, which was something they hadn't done in a long time.
Right.
So they've got to figure some things out, I think, offensively. But I wouldn't say they don't have a shot against South.
Right.
So I think that's a game that could swing both team seasons one way or the other. If South loses that, it's hard to see them turning around in
Right.
Greater News Conference play, and then same thing for Western. If they lose, all of a sudden they're coming to conference play with a losing record after winning 2 games.
Yeah, that would be tough.
I think I have a good question for him. Outside of football, are there any teams from your area that for volleyball or any volleyball or boys soccer teams that stand out to you so far?
we can keep it at South Johnston. Volleyball is off to a really good start. They're 10-1.
Yep.
As of
South
now
Johnston
recording.
on Thursday.
That should be a great game. Yeah.
I think it's a good chance I go to that one at West. It's at South. Yeah, I think I'll probably be there. Really good. Our student athlete of the week, which we do a student athlete each week. We honor them.
Right, I read that feature.
Kate Blackman.
Kate.
Yeah.
She's a junior. She's already the captain of the team. Seems like they've got a really good cohesive unit this year.
Absolutely.
And they beat Corinth Holders on Monday, which is pretty telling, I think. So they got a shot to compete. They had, Coach Adams told me they haven't won a conference championship since 1996. So they really are, fiending for one. And then South Johnston soccer looked really good there. 8-1-1, I think.
Right, and of course West Johnston is out. I think they're 9-1 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do believe so. That conference is going to be kind of interesting for both West and South.
Yeah, when I talked to, I was talking to the Triton coach after South beat them that night. I was asking, what do you think of them? Do you think they can compete at the top of that conference? And he thinks they're more talented than West and Cleveland. It's a matter of can they play together as a team? Because they've had talent here in the recent years. They just haven't really produced well on the field. But right now they're clicking.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they hold
Right,
up.
because both of you guys are pretty good soccer guys, right?
Yeah, I
don't watch a lot of soccer.
I'm getting him to learn.
He's a soccer
I played soccer, all 4 years of high school. Was a starter for 3 years.
Nice.
Not like the greatest player. Just
I
played. And yeah, I
You
really
played
enjoyed it.
basketball too, right?
I did not play basketball. I wish
Oh.
I did. It was one of those things. I played soccer and baseball, and my dad kind of got my ear there my freshman year. He's like, you should focus on baseball. So I didn't go out for basketball. If I did, I would have made the team. I mean, I played with some of those guys in middle school, and like I knew I was just as good as them. So then I took a year off from basketball. Then I tried to come out and play my sophomore year. Of course, East Carteret basketball hadn't been that big until my freshman year when I think they won the conference championship that year, and
They've gotten a lot better.
they beat like West Carteret, like that was a big deal. I think they
Yeah.
beat Havelock that year. It was the first time they'd beaten them in a long time.
Right.
So then after that, I was like, I want to try to play, and then wasn't good enough because I hadn't played basketball in a year.
Right.
I had hit my growth spurt and was uncoordinated, and
yeah.
I mean,
Could have been one of the great 3 sport athletes that always occupies a 1A school.
Yeah, absolutely. But whatever, I enjoyed my high school. But yeah, soccer, big soccer guy. I like this team in Germany called Borussia Dortmund. That's my squad.
Oh man, I'm not sure I like Borussia Dortmund.
Really? I
don't like Bayern Munich either. It's okay.
Okay, well I hate Bayern. I got into FIFA. I got into FIFA my freshman year of college. My roommate had it. We were just playing all the time, and I just really liked playing with Dortmund. It was like, I just really.
That's a talented squad.
That's the reason why I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, stuff like that.
It's MVP baseball 2005.
All right.
A classic
greatest game of all time.
Yeah, classic.
Yes.
Greatest baseball game of all time. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Red Sox. You had Manny Ramirez.
I hate the Red Sox. I'm a Yankees fan, but like.
Ooh.
Yeah, but you get it. That was the team back then.
Well, at least you guys share the bond with Carolina, of course. You as a Carolina fan,
right?
And you as a Carolina fan.
I'm actually wearing Carolina shorts right now.
Yeah, I'm wearing this. I bought this at it was a Carolina yard sale, and it was.
I was gonna say that's a nice shirt.
Right there.
It was a women's basketball warm up from like the
nice.
90s. It was like $5,
dude. This is sick. I need to find a way to snag one of those. That's what I did.
Yeah,
They
were just selling like a
even though this guy, they give him free t-shirts everywhere.
I got this one at the Ronnie Battle Baseball Complex dedication ceremony held in Kinston last. I think it was in April. For the late Coach Battle, who's a baseball legend out there with Post 43, the American Legion team, and I got the shirt at the ceremony. It was a really nice day, and it gave me a lot of perspective, of course.
I found this at Ross for $2.
Man, you got it. Yeah, meanwhile, but yeah, this was a fun experience.
So I have a question for you. What is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while you were reporting on a game?
Ooh, good question, bro. I want to hear this one.
Ooh, that's tough.
Because there's always those moments where you get those goosebumps for those good moments.
Do you mean like craziest, like coolest, or like
crazy city? Because the craziest moment we had was when we went out to Tarboro earlier this football season
in the rain,
and we got soaked.
My car, because I had to drive.
His car was about a half a mile away. And we are trying to get out the stadium with everyone else. Everyone is like sardines trying to get out of one exit.
And there's only one way in or out.
The rain is coming down so hard you can't even open your eyes.
All right, well.
So what's the craziest moment for you?
Well, in addition to high school, we do a little bit of Campbell stuff. And so I covered some Chris Clemens. I was working on a Chris Clemens profile story, so I was going to a lot of the games. Basically just getting paid to watch him play basketball, and he.
Way to get paid.
Yeah, and I really wish I could remember which game it was, but he threw down a game-winning dunk. And it was
I might know which game you're talking about. I just can't remember who it was against.
Maybe it wasn't a game winner, but it was a 1-point game or something like that. And
like a go-ahead dunk.
Yeah.
It was he yammed on something. It's wild watching him do it because he's
He's like 5 feet.
Yeah, he's like 5'8". Like when I interview him, like I'm looking down. You know what I mean? Like, but good Lord, I would not want to get in that guy's way when he's trying to go anywhere.
That's one of the coldest hoopers that's come through the state in a long time, and now he's in the NBA, right? He's with the.
So would you say that he's probably the greatest athlete you've seen?
Well, I mean, I went to all the Carolina games and stuff
true.
like that.
Well, I mean,
Covered, yeah, I would probably say so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what was it like, getting courtside seats, getting paid to basically watch this guy walk in greatness?
It's pretty cool, man.
30
I mean, there were some fun ones. He dropped 40-something one night, I know that. Plenty of dunks. Some of it just looks effortless, you know what I mean? Like it's like he jumps and then he keeps going whenever people like go down.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, the minute he walks into the gym, you could just put 30 points next to his name at least. Every night, he's a bucket.
So, what about as far as high school athletes? Who has probably been the funnest athlete to cover?
ooh, that's tough.
Because to be fun, you got to be you got to be this a personality mixed with good.
Yeah, probably last year when I was doing one of my student athlete of the week interviews. Chandler Williford at Midway, he was a baseball player. He's at Campbell University now.
Right.
And just like one of the most impressive kids you'll ever meet. He, I don't remember how high he finished in his class, but he was, he like been taking classes at the School of Science and Math online. He got into the school and chose to stay at Midway for baseball. Because they have a really good program. They've been very good there in recent years. And so he's a really, really good kid. He was, and of course then when he's pitching, he's throwing topping out 89, 90 miles per hour. And he had a really good year. I don't know, he's just a great kid, really charming.
Right.
So probably
one of those kids that when you interview them, you're just like, hey, where did my life go?
Right? Yeah.
That's a good way to say it.
I would probably say, he was my favorite.
All right. Of course, now, you've told us your game of the week. Of course, our game of the week is me and Stryker are combining ours, the WJG Sports /Stryker game of the week. It's going to be Cleveland versus Cardinal Gibbons.
Oof.
Now, of course, you've seen Cleveland last year, but this year they got kind of a new look now with Skylar Locklear starting at quarterback. And then, of course, Amarion Hampton, who's already been a player of the week. And he's been pretty ridiculous. You talk about Heisman, I think he needs to be in the run for the Heisman. I think it's 79 touches, over 900 yards, 13 touchdowns.
Pretty all right.
I would say that he is good at football. I would say
he is very good at football. And of course, that defense shutouts to last. Oh no! Wait a second. They gave up 12 to Southeast Raleigh.
Yeah.
So the defense has been holding, and now they get Cardinal Gibbons, who of course we all know took down the mighty
Wake Forest. Yep.
Yeah.
The mighty dynasty of Wake Forest was upended by the Cardinal Gibbons, the Crusaders. I think that's their name, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But this should be a really fun matchup for both teams. I actually think it could go either way, really.
Yeah. Really, I think it's just going to be interesting to see how Cleveland does with a team who I think is finally maybe equal footing to them. And I don't think they've seen a team yet that's been equal footing with them.
But I think they'll be up for this one. I mean, this is a game where you can play a 4A school that's had a really good program for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure they're ready to prove that. They're going to prove me right of getting to December.
Yeah, I know. Kai has all the Cleveland stock right now. The game I'll be attending this Friday, though, is North Pitt and Aiden Grifton.
Right.
Of course, we both picked Aiden Grifton to win the Eastern Carolina 2A Conference Championship.
Right.
They're led by Michael Webb, the do-it-all speedster that just blazes everybody.
Yeah.
Josh Wright at quarterback.
I think Aiden Grifton's going to roll in that.
I would say they're going to roll in this game, but hey, North Pitt's actually improved in every game. They have not won a game yet, but they played South Central as tight as they possibly could have played them. I mean, I think it was 44-30, but it was a one-score game with 2 minutes left, and South Central put it away.
Right.
But they're led by Alex Espinoza Johnson at quarterback. He made a lot of good plays in that game. So if North Pitt wants any chance of hanging around, it's going to be off of his arm and his legs.
All right. Of course, now the only thing we have left is game picks. Jacob, I know you at the Daily Record, y'all do actual game picks featuring our guy J. Mike Blake.
Yeah.
How have you been doing so far in your game picks?
Yeah.
I don't pick them. I pick them privately. I haven't been picking them in the paper. I have picked them privately. I'm winning, but
Oh, okay. Hey, I was going to say, you got to get your stats on now.
Hey, literally everyone did bad last week. There were a lot of surprise games. I mean, I don't think anyone picked South to win last week.
Ooh.
So it's yeah. I mean, it's tight. Some of these teams are hard to predict. Like I remember going into the season thinking, you know, these teams could go like 3-9 or they could go 9-3. Like,
it's a 1-game playoff every week of high school football in this state.
Exactly.
So yeah, you got and
injuries.
Yeah.
Between injuries, you never know how players are feeling. You know, players might be out because because they might have something else going on.
Right.
Or you never know exactly what you're going to get out of high school football. You know, you just see guys come out there on Friday nights and do the best they can, and the result kind of is what it is normally.
I think that Washington offensive coordinator Perry Owens said it best about some of the conferences I cover.
Yeah.
He did mention about the Eastern Carolina 2A only, but it's about every school I cover. It's a 1-touchdown league every night. I mean, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, we can't wait for Friday, of course, right?
Right, of course not. But really, of course, game picks. He got his first win on.
Yeah, we've done 4 weeks. He won the first 3 weeks, and I finally won thanks to
1 point, 16-15.
Thanks to
so you're not doing an overall record.
We're doing this week by week.
Okay, yeah, we do an overall record.
We can go back and compile our overall record.
Yeah, we could. You know, I mean,
but Kyle would definitely be ahead on that one by a little bit. Yeah, this is why I get the rookie treatment. I get the bad chair. He gave Jacob the semi-good chair, and he gets the gamer chair, the throne chair.
He's the head honcho.
Man, anyway, is that it? Is that everything for today?
yeah, that's everything. Jacob, thank you for coming. Tell the people where they can find you on the socials.
Yeah, man, follow me on Twitter at jhancocktdr. That's where I'll have all my live tweets of games, links to stories, and hopefully soon I'll have a podcast coming out, the Preps Writers Podcast, where we're talking about just the profession in general. Hopefully these guys will be on at some point.
Oh, yeah,
Well, thank you so much.
You know, he does a great job of covering South Johnston, so anybody who really enjoys the South Johnston content, I highly recommend him. He does a great job of covering the Trojans. And, of course, you said you can find him at J. Hancock TDR.
From the Daily Record. Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at StrikingNation24 or at LMA Preps, whichever you prefer. I probably prefer neither of them, but StrikingNation24 _. Thank you, Kai. But also, of course, where can they find you, sir?
At MMJ Kai Jones. It stands for Multimedia Journalist, if you've ever wondered. I've had people ask me that before. Then, of course, you can find us, WJG Sports. You can find us on WJG Sports for YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. You can find us on Twitter, WJG _sports, and then, of course, IG at WJG Sports. We're now over 500, almost 600 followers on the Instagram. Thank you for getting us over 300 subscribers on YouTube. And then, of course, on Facebook as well, we're also WJG Sports.
Yeah, leave us a like there as well, of course.
Right. And then, of course, on Twitter, we're about 5 away from 900 followers. So we appreciate y'all for supporting. And we thank y'all for coming in and tuning into this show.
Yes, sir.
Number 11's in the books.